Hello everyone, welcome back to Mad About Cards and Crafts. Today I am participating in another crafty collaboration with my friend Cathy Arenzana. Today we are featuring interactive cards. I think it's pretty safe to say that this is neither one of our forte, so let's jump into the products and see how this goes. We're both using the Critter Costume Party. This is from the September release from the Not Too Shabby Shop. I am using the Shutter card from Fawn as well as the add-on. And then I will be using several distress inks and these Fine Tech Pearl Color paints. I'll use the white and the gold because you know I do love my ink splattering. Here's the distress inks. I have Aged Mahogany, Wilted Violet, Worn Lipstick, Mustard Seed, Fossilized Amber, Gathered Twigs, and I also bring in some black soot. I did stamp my images onto Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock, and I also cut my card base from that as well. I'll be using that black and white glaze pen. I apologize because I missed hitting record for the beginning of this, but you really didn't miss much. I laid down the worn lipstick in the center, and then I added the Wilted Violet. I added some Aged Mahogany around that, and then now I'm bringing in the black soot around the edges. And as usual with Distress ink or Distress Oxide, it looks a little bit funky, but the end product looks really nice. I am taking my Distress sprayer from Tim Holtz and spritzing some water on there. We're going for a lot of texture with this. I don't have some of my dyes with me, so I had to get really creative with my background. Here I'm splattering on that white Fine Tech watercolor paint, and I am going to get super heavy-handed. Super heavy-handed. I started with this watercolor brush. I think it's like a Prima watercolor brush, and then I'm going to add a flat brush. I'm going to bring a flat brush in, and I'm going to get a heavier sprinkle. Here we go. Now I'm adding that gold to this, and look at the shimmer and shine that I get. I was kind of going for you know, a glowy center and then darker on the outside. You'll see that I do have a mask, there we go, over the middle, which would be the moon. And the one thing that I could say about this card that I was just a tad bit disappointed with is I thought that you would see the circle shape a little bit more behind the shutter piece, and that was not the case. This literally is the first time that I am putting this together. So, you know, I learned a few things during the process, and I think that it's fairly easy to put together. This right here is Fossilized Amber, and then I'll bring in some of that mustard seed around the outer edges. And so I thought that this would show more as a moon, and unfortunately it didn't. I now realize that the shutter piece is a lot smaller than the circle that actually cuts out for that. So I don't know, I just wasn't thinking about that, I guess, and so it didn't show as the moon as I hoped. This is the add-on piece to the shutter die, and the shutter, this is from Fawn. This is from the recent release. So I'm just going to take the same colors that I used for the center portion of the full card. So this is the Worn Lipstick, and then I'll come in with the Wilted Violet, and then I will add a little bit of the black soot. I will say that Upon putting the card together, you will notice that the shutter pieces, when I go to blend them, I do them in the same color, the wilted violet and the worn lipstick, but I didn't realize how much of it would show on the outer edge of the card. So off camera in the final photos, you'll see that I actually come in with some aged mahogany just to blend it out a little bit, because I thought that the contrast was just a little too stark. So I am just trying to blend that on. You can see I have a mark from my cutting plates on that panel. And here I'm adding that little bit of black soot. These are my Amazon brushes that I'm using. And then I'm going to repeat the whole splattering. This is kind of a repeat process for each of the pieces. I think I could have used heavier cardstock. I was afraid to go too heavy. I was afraid that there would be bulk. But with all the water that I sprayed on and the splattering of paint, the back of the cardstock ended up getting a little bit dirty and some of the color was showing through. So I do remedy that. I will off camera cut some very thin paper that I've had from Hobby Lobby and wrap that around the card base just to hide all that ugliness. These are the shutter pieces, and so this is the mechanism that's going to open and close when you open and close the card. I absolutely love this die. I think it is fabulous, and I can see myself having lots of fun with it. As I said at the beginning of the video, I am not an interactive card person by nature. That's not the first thing that I gravitate to, but I really enjoyed this process. So as I said earlier, I used that wilted violet and that worn lipstick, and then I'm splattering on that white fine tech, and then I'll come back in with the gold, and I am just as heavy-handed here as I was with all of the other pieces. And look at how pretty. See how the back is funky? Like, I wouldn't want to leave my card like that, and I don't even think if I would have cut the panels that come with it that it would have covered up well enough. I'm going to add a little bit of double-sided adhesive. This is about an 1/8 inch from Elizabeth Craft Designs to the top of those tabs, because this piece is what's going to attach to that. This is the gathered twigs. I'm going to ground my little critters, and so I'm going to lightly blend that onto the bottom. But see how when I first blended that background, how splotchy and ugly it looked, and then look at how it all came together once the ink was able to settle in. So sometimes you just have to sit back and, you know, let the organic process occur. Here I'm just blocking off the top portion so that I can spray some water on the bottom. I decided that I wasn't going to add all that splatter to the bottom because I kind of looked at it as stars. I did add the double-sided tape to the flap. There are some notches. They're not cut out. They're impressed into that card panel so that you can easily line up those shutter pieces. So I am taking the tape off and I am lining it up, and then I will overlap the pieces. So those pointy pieces, one at the bottom is on top and the other one is folded underneath. They have to be opposing in order for that shutter piece to work. So I will carefully put this down. You see how I don't have a full circle there? I thought you were going to be able to see the circle shape on all sides. So I wish that I would have went just a little bit smaller with my circle. I thought maybe it wasn't lining up right, but it really was just a little bit of warping with my paper, so I was able to get that lined up. I'm going to remove the adhesive, and I'm going to line this up and lay the top portion of that panel over it. Then I will remove the adhesive from the tab on the bottom, and I will do the same, and my shutter card is in order. I just love the sparkle and shine with this. I was so excited about this. I don't, like I said, I don't do interactive cards, but you see the warping and you see that I probably could have went a little bit heavier, but I will take that inexpensive Hobby Lobby paper. It's super thin, so it was perfect. It didn't add any bulk to the card, but it did add a little bit of interest to the front. It had polka dots, so the purple polka dot paper, and then the black paper that I use, I take a Lawn Fawn grass die and I will cut a grass border from the black paper from the same collection. This is the word Boo, which is also part of the Critter Costume Party stamp set. I am going to take some Stampin' Up! Ink. I will list it in the description box below. I'm not quite sure what purple color it is, but I knew that I was going to use purple. I take my stamp block and I carefully hand stamp this. I am not a straight stamper, so I was super thrilled that this came out. I just wasn't sure if things would get in the way if I put it in my MISTI, and so I just decided to try to hand stamp it, and I got it dead center. Yay! Bonus points for me. So I will be listing Cathy's video in the description box below. Please head on over to her channel and watch her video as well. I know Cathy is just a fantastic creator, so I know that her card is just going to be amazing and you don't want to miss that. So I decided to use the bunny with the ghost sheet over him because I thought that went perfect with the Boo. I took all of these images and I colored them off camera. I am going to post for sure. I already have it edited. I just need to do a little bit of a voiceover later on today, but I do have the coloring edited, so I will be posting that if you're interested in seeing how I colored these. I'm really interested when I'm doing critters. I didn't so much with the cat or the chick, but with the other critters, I like to get texture with them, and so I did try to create kind of like a furry body for them. So the sloth, I think that's a sloth, the sloth or the badger, whichever one he is on the left, he has a little bit of texture to him. There's that paper that I did add. So it didn't quite fit all the way around when I used the die. So I just took a couple of strips and I ran them down the center of what I would call the door for the closure. I ruined my glue here. So I have this Scotch glue. I have a brand new bottle. I took all of my other glue with me to Nevada and I cut the tip off too far. And so I can't use this other than to lay it on my craft mat. And I really hate it. It is such a pain, but I am not going to waste that glue. I am going to use it. Here I cut a couple more of the belly bands. So the die comes with these belly bands. You cut it out twice and then we're going to adhere them together. There's little tabs there, but I'm just laying this card. Well, it's not really cardstock. See how thin it is? I'm going to call it paper. See, it even curled. That's how thin it is. So, you know, when you first start scrapbooking, squirrel, I'm changing subjects. You know, when you first start scrapbooking and you're not really sure what you need and you just go to stores like Hobby Lobby and you think, okay, I just need paper, and you don't realize that thin paper is not going to do you any good when you're scrapbooking. Yeah, I have a couple big, huge bundles of this, and I like the patterns. I think it's very versatile, and I can still use it in my card making, but I have a lot, so I was not sad to need to use that. I took the one side of the tab and I glued the two pieces together. Now I am just reinforcing and gluing the other side. This is the circle that I had used as a mask originally, and so rather than creating a yellow moon, I just decided that I was going to use the pieces that I already had. It had the ink splattering on it. It tied in that worn lipstick. I glued the hedgehog to the left and the bunny to the right, and now I'm taking the dog with the broom and adding him to the center of that belly band, I will add the words Happy Halloween, which will basically be my sentiment. I did cut everything out using my brother's Scan and Cut. And that's pretty much going to be my card. I'm going to show you the interaction a little bit. I'll take the belly band back off and move it around for you so you can see how it opens and closes. I want to thank you so much for watching today. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would absolutely love for you to subscribe. Ring the bell so that you receive notifications whenever I upload a video. And until next time, have a fabulous day.